stable. Can you hear me? See me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, amazing, cool. So I'm here with Tiffany Jackson this morning, and she has been such an amazing influence for me. We actually met in beautiful Byron Bay when I was, it feels like we've really come full circle with this, when I was actually...
Yeah, I know, it does, doesn't it?
It's so bizarre because I was mentoring your two beautiful girls in music, and it just, yeah, and who would have thought that, or, you know, a few years down the track that I'd be sat in London and we both be working in very similar spaces really, and having the opportunity to do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, and it's just really fantastic to kind of be able to sit and have a chat and talk about, you know, a kind of our shared interest, which is kind of mindfulness and meditation and wellness. And before we jumped on this, I know we spoke about, you know, things like the amplification of emotion that's kind of going on as a result of everything that's I guess the sand's really shifting in the world at large at the moment. And I know for myself, you know, Vedic meditation, which is what you teach, has been such an important tool. I mean, I always talk about, you know, having an emotional tool belt, and I kind of get my clients to visualize it in this way, that you've got like a myriad of different things that you can do to manage your own psycho-emotional space. And meditation is just such an important part, and has been for me. And obviously I was already a meditator before I discovered Vedic meditation, but I just want you to kind of explain to everybody what Vedic meditation is and you know, and your experience with it.
Yeah, look, as you said, Lauran, you tried meditation, and there are lots of meditations out there. And I always like people to have a really good understanding of the different types that are out there, because what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. And I had practiced various different types of meditation for about 15 years before I came across Vedic meditation, which Vedic, actually, the word Vedic derives from the Vedas, which is the mind and body, from Ayurvedic medicine. And it's basically, in principle, it's a transcending style of meditation. So it comes under lots of different names. So it's a transcending meditation is the best way to explain it. And by that we mean is we're giving you permission to have thoughts, but you're transcending the thoughts. And I think that's a big difference as opposed to lots of the other types that I had tried. And I'm back 1997 when I first started. So I'm out with the hippies and
it was meditation campaigner.
Well, no, it wasn't in vogue. No one knew about it. And I was going to yoga 5 or 6 times a week, and people thought I was crazy. Well, you're going to go do that yoga thing? Yeah. And look how far it's come now.
I really hear that. And I remember back when, if you used to practice yoga, you were an utter and complete hippie. I know, for me, growing up in Bangalore and going to Byron High School, it was like, you know, we practiced yoga for school sport, and like everyone was like, that was so out of left field that we could do yoga.
Byron's a progressive area. Yeah. So, and you know, meditation and yoga is kind of permitted in Byron, you know, it's almost the norm, you know, you're born into it.
Oh Lord, have I noticed that since I've been in London. Oh Christ, it's completely different. I really hear that.
That city, it's that buzz all the time, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And I think all of these things that have kind of been traditionally classed as kind of left of center, and that's where for me Byron has been such an important part of my journey and my life. And I'm so glad it's somewhere I grew up, because it's given me the tools now that I've been working on for years, and that are kind of just becoming, I guess, popularized now. And and you're lucky enough to be in beautiful Byron right at the moment. So I'm a bit jealous.
I am very lucky, and I'm grateful every day that I'm in this part of the world with everything that's going on at the moment. Yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And yeah, it makes me a bit nostalgic and a bit homesick. So it's nice to be able to do
it. You know, you've got to trust that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, and I know that there's absolutely... Sorry.
You are going to be that light. So, you know, a lamppost is only illuminated in the dark, and that's what you are. So you're there, you're radiating the light in the darkness. So good on you.
It's funny because for me, I always knew I'd be back in London. I really felt very strongly called to be here and to be able to bring this message to people kind of at large as well. You know, this city's got, there's more, there's nearly almost as much, if not more, people in this city than there are in the whole state of New South Wales, you know, and it blows my mind to think, you know, that the way that technology is giving us this opportunity to kind of get these sorts of mediums out there. And so can you talk me through, you know, what a Vedic meditation session looks like, what people will learn, you know, those sorts of things?
Yeah, so it's taught a little bit different to lots of other styles of meditation because it's not a class derivative meditation. So what happens is, the idea of it is you're actually set up to have your own practice. So to get the true benefits of meditation and anything really, you need to be practicing every day, twice daily, to get the maximum benefits. And so you're taught to have your own practice so that you can meditate anytime, anywhere. And by that I mean, you know, for some people it works for them doing it in the morning before they go to work. Others, it might be on their way to work, on their commute to and from work. It could be after they drop their kids to school. So everybody has a varying different time that'll work for them. And that's where I think it's integral, is that you find the time that works for you. And again, anywhere. So you can do it, as I said, on the commute to work. You can do it on a park bench in your lunch break. You know, sitting in a chair in the lounge room, anywhere. I mean, God, I've done it on the bathroom toilet seat before. So you can do it anywhere. And I think, again, giving you the permission and teaching you to be able to do it anywhere is extremely valuable, as opposed to trying to get to a class which has a set time at a set place. Because, well, at the moment we can't get out of our house, so that makes it very difficult. And not everyone can be at a certain place at 6 a.m. in the morning or at 7 p.m. in the evening. And that makes it prohibitive. And so therefore, you know, you miss 1 or 2 days and you think, oh, you can't do it. For me, I mean, I used to get anxiety just trying to get to a class on time. And then I could never find a car park, and I'd be always running in, and I'd be stressed, and then I'd be sitting there or lying there, and they'd say, oh, now we're going to tell you to think happy thoughts. I'm going, happy thoughts? Oh my God, I'm going to, you know, it was just mind blowing. So to be able, when I was told I could meditate anytime, anywhere, I was like, tick. And then when they said, you can have thoughts, I'm like, tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, and that's something I really love about Vedic meditation and the way that you teach it, because I think ultimately people have this very monastic view of what meditating actually is, that they need to go and sit there and it's silent and we're all chanting and like, you know, it's all this sort of stuff. But actually it's complete, it's not like that at all.
It's the reverse. And you know, Lauran, did you know actually only 0.1% of 1% of the population are actually monastic by nature. So they're actually happy to be, you know, often at ashram or away from society. But the rest of us, we aspire to have relationships, to work, to have things, live in houses, drive cars, go on holidays, all of those things to whatever degree.
Yeah.
But we aspire for those things. So, you know, that monasticness, the holding the crystals and the all that spiritual side, you know, that is there and it works for some people, but it didn't work for me. And for the hundreds that I've taught and the people that I'm around, their life is too frenetic and they are racing from appointment to appointment or from meeting to meeting, and you know, they're trying to juggle everything and they don't have hours on end to get to a class to take up that time. So, you know, as you know, the practice is 15 to 20 minutes daily. And if you can, and for maximum benefits, we do it twice daily. You know, 2 lots of 20 minutes is less than 3% of your day. So it's really not very much.
Yeah, it's not. And I think particularly with the you know, hashtag COVID crazy that's going on at the moment around us, I think it's just so important. And I mean, for me, I kind of teach emotional fluency, and at the moment it's that amplification of emotion. And I know we've spoken about this. It's like, if you're anxious at the moment, that anxiety is going to be amplified. It's going to be loud. It's like holding a megaphone in front of the anxiety. Or if you're fearful, or if you're feeling isolated, if you're depressed, there are so many different emotions that we're having to try and navigate as a result of COVID-19. And to have something like meditation in your arsenal is it's so important, because it helps you to kind of calm your nervous system in a lot of ways. And I think, I mean, more than half of our communication is actually non-verbal. And I think what meditation does for me is it just gives me this really nice base, to be able to bring my, I guess to bring my being forward in the world, and not, sorry.
It is. Yeah. No, I'm saying that's exactly right. God, it doesn't solve all the problems of the universe. I mean, I'd love to say I don't scream at my children, but I would be lying to say.
We do have 3. That's only why you started meditating, right? Oh,
yeah. So, it doesn't answer all of our problems, but you're right. It gives you a really good base. And when we're in situations like COVID, I feel like for me, I know I've been doing 20 years to get to this point where I'm not that razzled by it. Yes, I've had moments where I've subscribed to the hysteria of it, but in reality, I've gone, you know what? I trust that everything will be okay. And that extra meditation that I've had to throw in my day, or that extra time on the meditation, it's enabled me to, know that everything will be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I did an IGTV video the other day, and it was talking about, because I had a lot of fear come up for me the other morning, and it wasn't unfounded. I mean, because obviously everyone at the moment has their bits and bobs going on. But for me, a lot of my tools and techniques weren't working. Can you kind of talk us through what you would do in an instance like that?
Yeah. So, and again, I've had similar instances over the last couple of months as well, where I think, oh my God, it's not working. So look, and that's
well, find me another tool. Where's my yoga mat?
Exactly. And fortunately for me, I do have lots of tools, like we've said.
Yeah.
So I do a rounding sequence, which is a yoga sequence every morning. Now, some days I don't get that in, and when I don't, that's when I can start to be frazzled. So yoga, I find very beneficial, and the sequence that I do is it's a pre-course to my meditation. And so it's a big opening up. Breathing, making sure that you're doing deep breaths and they're not shallow. So quite often we need to stop to notice our breath. And so if your breath is shallow, then be really conscious of deepening the breath, making sure it's going in, down, deep, because that really relaxes the parasympathetic nervous system. Yes. So, and look, you know what? If you've had a shit day, because let's face it, we're going to have them, really taking that deep breath, like in through the nose, and that loud exhale, go and do it.
It's like, yeah.
You've got a beautiful voice, you can do it. But that really loud, doing that really does release the tension that you've been holding on to.
Yeah, and actually a pranayama teacher once told me that there's that sound like you're breathing into a mirror, that actually releases vagal, or tonifies your vagus nerve as well, which is basically sending so many afferent neurons through your body. So it calms your central nervous system from like a very visceral kind of level.
And I do a pranayama before I go into my meditation. Have I taught you that?
No, you haven't taught me that one yet. We'll have to, do that one.
After this, we won't do it on camera.
No.
A pranayama breath to do, which to lead you into your meditation. Which
again, pranayama, another tool in our emotional tool belt that we can turn to. And I think that's the thing, for me, I'm just a conduit for people to come and to basically experience themselves and to experience their kind of this suite of emotions that's kind of going on for them. But there are so many amazing tools, and I think that's for me why I work integratively, because it's just so important to have all different levels of kind of tools and things in what you're doing.
Yes, of course. And journaling, we've talked about that as well.
Yeah.
Journaling, I'm always, Write down what you're grateful for. You know, the more things you're grateful for, the way your energy attracts those things, as opposed to that fear element.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what is it? What is it? Fuck everything and run, or face everything and recover or rise. You know, it's that idea. And I mean, fear is just one emotion. I mean, all you have to do is, you know, drive down the road and accidentally cut someone off or something like that to see that something like anger is also just bubbling very low below the surface with a lot of people. And for a lot of people, I mean, I call it basically short chain stress response versus long chain. So with a short chain, with your short chain stress response, you basically it'll basically be stress respond, like, so trigger response. Whereas a long chain stress response is, okay, trigger, then there's a big stop sign. It's like, okay, stop, you know, and then process the emotions and and respond, rather than just that trigger reaction. You know, it's short and long chain stress response theory.
Has that come to you because of the years of practice self-help you've done on yourself? Because surely
Absolutely.
a long chain response is something that we need to be taught through tools or self-awareness, that mindfulness. Come to that.
That's it. And it's harnessing that ability. And most people will go straight into reaction because they're, I guess neurochemically wired to be.
Well, their amygdala is fired up.
It basically, and in order to be able to, I guess, you know, cut that instant reactive response, that's been years of work to actually be able to just see that stop sign in my mind when I'm triggered, or to even identify something as a trigger in the first place. You know, yes. a lot of the time, you know, for me, particularly in my early life, I've struggled with addiction and, you know, all sorts of things in my younger years, particularly. And for me, I didn't even realize that I was being triggered constantly. You know, and people don't realize the ways in which they're actually being triggered. And I think that's, for me, where, you know, really good therapy is always a really great precursor to having your tools, because it allows you to actually experience yourself in a kind of supportive space to then be able to find the tools that you need. And I think with Vedic meditation, the thing that I found has been so useful is the use of mantra, and this idea that you aren't your thoughts, and taking you away from your thoughts and those sorts of things. Can you explain to us a bit about that side of things? I know that, you know, you get your own little special mantra which you use as a result of your practice, and how that kind of works.
Yes. So what we do is, through the teachings, is, you're right, each person is given their own mantra, and we use that mantra, and you're artfully guided into a meditation with the use of that mantra. And by having that mantra, it's taking us out of our head, which is what we're trying to do with our thoughts. But thoughts will come and go, and then we use that mantra to bring ourselves back to it. So the idea is we want to transcend those thoughts, and by doing that, then we're clearing the stresses that are sitting inside our nervous system.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. That's been so useful for me. I think for a lot of my meditation practice preceding that, it was, you know, a lot of visualization based stuff. And it was, you know, and I think a lot of people think with meditation that they have to try and control their thoughts rather than just allow them. Yeah, no. Don't try and do that. You're not hiding tonight.
Don't control.
Believe us, we've both tried.
Yeah, and the more you try and control, the tighter you hold on, the less rope you've got, which, you know, you want to have that long chain, as you just said. So we've got to let go. We've got to not control. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. You don't want to control in any situation. It's not just your mantra. It's not just your meditation. It's in everything in life. We don't want to hold on too tightly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where a tool like meditation, it allows you to show up in a more present way and not be reactive. And I think that's just fundamental, because unfortunately we live in a world where everyone is so busy and, you know, all of the time, that they don't have, you know, that it's just so important to get back to, you know, okay, what's going on for me, you know, and how am I showing up in the world and for myself and for my loved ones. And as you said, you know, this transcends from an internal, you know, psycho-emotional state into our relationships as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so have you noticed your kind of relationships change as a result of your practice over the years?
Oh, yeah, they do. Look, without a doubt, you know, they've evolved over time. But I think the biggest thing is it's the relationship you have with yourself. And I think as that strengthens, then your relationship you have with others also strengthens.
Yeah, I
You
really,
become more self-aware. So that's a really important thing, is because if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, how can you have a good relationship with others?
I completely agree. And I think there's a lot of instances where we see, or I mean, I know even in my experience of life, I found myself trying to make other people responsible for how I'm feeling, where there's something so empowering about being sovereign over our own emotional states. And I think, yeah, as I said, as I've said and keep saying, you know, Vedic meditation is obviously such an amazing tool for all of that as well. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's so nice to chat with you. And
My pleasure. I'm happy to answer any questions if any of your clients want to message me direct, or they can go through you if they have any more questions on
yeah, that's
any.
absolutely fine. And we'll and yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll do some more bits and pieces together in future, but I'll definitely post all of your links and things like that. And yeah, and I'll look forward to catching up with you again really soon.
Yes.
Yay, I'll speak to you soon. Bye, T.